Okay, top 5 QB playoff matchups. So basically, we're going to list our top 5 QBs, not necessarily skill-based, but skill-based plus matchups.
Yep.
These
We're
are the
looking at
QBs.
their matchups for week 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah. So these are the QBs that we think will be on the teams that win their league.
Yeah, this could have some value because if you're looking at a spot where you're locked into the playoffs, you might pick up one of these guys if they're available so you can start them in a couple weeks because they have good matchups.
Yep. Who's your number 5, Josiah?
Number 5 was Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Yep.
So
Matt Ryan.
You think that Matt Ryan's going to turn it around and become a good quarterback to have in the fantasy playoffs?
I think Matt Ryan is good in good matchups, and he has some good matchups in the playoffs. So I think you could definitely do worse than playing him.
He's had a rough few weeks. Week 10, 1.7 fantasy points. Week 11, 3.5. He was against Jacksonville, got 14.1, and then he just played Tom Brady and scored 14.9 fantasy points. He had 297 yards, just couldn't get a touchdown in the end zone.
Yeah.
But
who are some of his matchups in the?
His matchups week 15, 16, and 17. 15, he's got San Francisco. Week 16, he has Detroit, so that's
a great one. San Francisco's a good one too. Their defense is
they're not great. They're not that scary. So
their offense is good, so he's going to be in pass mode against them.
Most likely a high scoring week. Yep. And then week 17, he has Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo's not a great one.
No,
but the other two are pretty good.
Yeah.
So if you've been streaming quarterbacks, I think you could start Matt Ryan week 15 or week 16 and be all right.
Yeah, and feel pretty good about it. Let's see here. Has he played Detroit yet? He has not played Detroit yet.
No, they only played Detroit once.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you need to, you can start Matt Ryan on those weeks. I'm not that excited about him, but, week 16 at least, Detroit.
Yeah, that's definitely a great one. I think
Yeah.
actually 15 is just as good because San Francisco is going to force them to throw the ball a lot. Detroit might not do that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, number 4, Josiah.
All right, so number 4 for me is Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel
really?
Jones.
Why?
He's got a couple pretty good matchups. You can pull up his matchups and we can look at them. But I looked at their schedule the rest of the year. He's got some pretty good matchups, and he's got a good feeling. He's a guy that's pretty good when he has a good matchup.
Yeah, he's
pretty bad when the matchup's not good, but that's all right. Don't start him in those games.
Pretty up and down. He at least gets you 10 points pretty comfortably.
Yep.
Which is, you could not say so for Matt Ryan. But week 15, 16, and 17, these are his matchups.
Yep.
He's got Dallas on week 15.
That one's not bad.
Not bad. Philadelphia week 16.
That one's not bad.
Not bad. And then Chicago week 17.
That one's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Chicago is not the
hasn't been that good
that we remember.
And they've been losing defensive players to injuries left and right.
Yeah. And he missed this week just because of neck tightness.
He might. He may or may not miss next week. But beyond that, I'm sure he'll be fine.
I hope he doesn't miss next week. He's my only second quarterback I have. But I mean, looks like I'm still going to win this week, so it panned out all right. But I do like Daniel Jones for the end of the season a lot.
I think he could be a good little stash if you're trying to save a quarterback for a good matchup in the playoffs.
Yeah, and if he can get a healthy Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard, that'd make me like him even more.
Yep.
It seems like their whole team, I don't think there's been a single week where their whole team, or at least their offensive team, has been healthy. Maybe week 1, but I can't remember that far back. But it seems like either Sterling Shepard or Kadarius Toney are always injured, if not both of them.
Well, I think Toney's going to be back soon. Barkley looks healthy, which helps Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He's better when Barkley's healthy.
He's way better when Barkley's healthy.
Yep. So
Barkley's on your team. What did he get? Like 13 fantasy points?
He didn't go off by any means, but he had like 12 or 13 fantasy points. It was rough. I mean, when you're in the backfield of Mike Glennon, there's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do. Actually, Kadarius Toney's biggest week was the week where Mike Glennon came in for an injured Daniel Jones.
That's because that's what Glennon's good at, the short passes, and then Toney was just catching them and flying by everyone.
Yeah, and just dodging everyone. But yeah, I think Daniel Jones is a solid number 4. All right, number 3.
Number 3 for me is Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
That a lot of people that have been losing their fantasy leagues would probably really like to hear you say that.
Yeah,
Because,
well, I mean, he's had some bad weeks, but that's the point. He's probably on your waiver wire, and I think he's got some good matchups for the playoffs if you're looking to stream someone.
Yeah, he's 22.2% owned across ESPN leagues, so there's a 78% chance that he's on your waiver wire, available and ready to go. And he actually has my favorite matchups so far out of the ones we've seen. 15 against Houston, 16 against the Jets, and that's 17, not the greatest one, is against New England.
Yeah, that one's not great.
No.
But those first two are like top tier.
Yeah.
Those are two of the better matchups you can get.
I really like Trevor Lawrence is talented, even though it doesn't show in fantasy numbers.
He had a few good games early in the year, didn't he?
He did. He started out, I mean, his first game was his best game. He had 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. But, I mean, he was getting stuff done. Everything past that is all right. His highest week past his first week, as far as fantasy points are concerned, was week 12 with 21.15 points. Everything else has been under that.
Yeah.
But I like his matchups. This could be a sneaky quarterback play that could really benefit your fantasy team just based off the matchups.
First 3 guys that we talked about, how would you rank them from 1 to 3?
I'd probably go Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Matt Ryan.
Okay. Yeah, Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence were very close for me. I thought they both had good matchups. They're both worth the stash. If they're both there, it's a tough one. I picked Trevor Lawrence by a little bit, but I couldn't blame you for going Daniel Jones either.
No, I feel like same thing with I can't remember who I said it with, but his best games are ahead of him. I mean, the rest of his season looks pretty good. Tennessee, Houston, Jets, other than New England, and then the Colts.
Yeah, so, he could get a little momentum building up with.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Jacksonville actually winning games here soon.
At least seeing Trevor Lawrence look good, I think, would not be surprising.
Yeah. All right, number 2, the second best fantasy quarterback for the playoffs. Who is it?
All right, so number 2 for me is Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, who had a pretty good comeback.
Pretty good game
this past week.
Yep. Against San Francisco, they're a pretty good matchup.
Yep.
They're a pretty good matchup for quarterbacks. But I think Russell Wilson, man, every week he's going to get a little healthier.
Yep.
He's going to get a little better. And you're going to look at his matchups, but he's got some dream matchups.
Yeah. Week 15, he's got the Rams. Week 16, he's got Chicago. And then the Super Bowl week for fantasy football players, he's playing Detroit.
Yeah. You want him in there to win your Super Bowl right there.
Yeah, that is a magical set of
and he could be on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues. How owned is he?
He's 87.7% owned. So
maybe not as much as I thought.
Highly unlikely. But
if you're in a shallow league and you're looking to stream quarterbacks, I would pick him up. Don't look at his last few games and think that he sucks, because he's going to keep getting better. And in good matchups, Russell Wilson cooks.
Yeah, he's got Houston next week. I bet he has a killer week next week.
He's going to have a strong finish to the season, I think.
I feel like that too. I really like that call. His matchup, we already know he's good because he's Russell Wilson, and his matchups are fantastic. If you've got Russell Wilson on your team and you made it into the playoffs, I would be feeling pretty good.
Yep. Because you made it in with him struggling, and now he's likely to turn it around, and you're going to be looking pretty.
Yeah, he missed 4 weeks, so if you made it in, you've got Russell Wilson. Your team's about to get sent to the next level.
That's right.
All right.
Is he your favorite so far that we talked about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100% my favorite one we've talked about so far, because we already know he's good, and he's got weapons around him, and his matchups, especially the main one that matters, which is Week 17, he's got Detroit. So that is, my favorite by far.
I think all of them are good, too, so he's going to have a good finish.
Yeah, I think so, too. All right, number 1 fantasy quarterback for the fantasy playoffs. What do you think, Josiah?
Number 1 for me is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo, really?
He's been sneaky good this year. Really hasn't had that much struggles, and he's got just dream matchups.
He really does.
And their team has been good. And if Debo gets healthy again, he's got weapons.
He got dropped in our money league.
Kittle looks good. I know.
I can't remember. I think Sam dropped him.
Yep.
Actually, I can look at that right now. Sam dropped him on November 10th, and Bear Jordan picked him up for $36 on November 11th. Probably a pretty good pickup for him.
Yeah, that was good.
But
Look at just his numbers recently. He's been pretty solid.
Yeah, solid
hasn't
20
had
points
any bust
consecutively.
games.
Yeah, he played Minnesota. He had 15 points. Not terrible, but not great. But
Yeah.
the rest of the season, there's literally not a matchup that isn't interesting. He's got Cincinnati on week 14.
That's a great matchup.
He's got Atlanta week 15.
Great matchup.
Tennessee week 16.
Tennessee's a pretty good matchup.
Houston week 17.
Yeah, and Houston's one of the better matchups you can get.
Yeah, and then the Rams week 18, which doesn't matter for fantasy
Yeah, it doesn't
football
matter much unless you're in that kind of league, which change your settings next year.
Yeah, because a lot of the starters are going to be sitting.
Yep.
I like that call a lot. Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, there
Yep.
literally was not a team that I listed that I wouldn't be excited about him playing.
No, you can literally start him the rest of the year and feel good.
Yeah. He on average gets 20 fantasy points pretty much every week except for 3. Every other week he's gotten at least 20 points, and he's got his best matchups ahead of him. I feel like, if you've got Garoppolo, I can't believe he's only 14% owned.
I know, it's crazy, right?
For as consistent as he is. I mean,
he's just very consistent, and he's surrounded with talent right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
George Kittle's healthy, looks great. Elijah Mitchell looks really good in the backfield.
Ayuk is turning on.
Ayuk's
He's
turning
got
on.
Debo Samuels. I mean, healthy in a couple
Samuel
weeks.
Might miss one more week, but he should be back. Hopefully he returns to what he was doing. But
yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons around him.
Oh, yeah.
I feel pretty good about Jimmy Garoppolo being the number one fantasy football playoff scenario QB to own.
Yep.